Well, thank you all who are here. Our second Public Relations Committee meeting with One West. We're super excited to have such a wonderful group of people here. And yeah, Taylor put together a great agenda for today, which I'll share my screen. We worked on a deck. And then kind of thinking from what we're learning today with ideas and thoughts, we'll continue to grow this committee and build what we want from it. So we will take good notes and see where we want to go for the next meeting. But for today, we do have a deck put together. So I will share my screen. And one second. Are we able to see that, everyone?
Yep, we can see
Okay,
it.
fantastic. Okay, well, Taylor, without further ado, I'll let you take it from here. And if anyone has chats or questions, just I will be on the lookout.
Cool. Hi, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the second One West Public Relations Committee. We're doing good on retention. We got a good amount of people here. We're gonna kind of have a discussion day today. So you can choose to change to the meeting screen when we talk or looking at the slides, whatever you prefer. I'm gonna be on the meeting screen and follow along. We'll kind of prompt the discussion as we go. I think it's important for us as a committee to narrow down what we want to focus on for the next, fiscal year. And we're going to kind of get into some themes, but generally we're going to just talk about what we're focusing on, and then we're going to go into a couple of stuff based on our first meeting. We're going to talk about earned media tracking. We're going to talk about a journalist roster or vetting journalists, FAM hostings, and then other topics. And so that's just kind of how it's going to go. So cool. If you can go to, I'm going to go to, yeah, the first slide. So I just want to do a roundtable. Y'all can raise your hand or you can chime in. I will work to call on people and you can add stuff in the chat. But what are people focusing on when it comes to public relations? I think we have a wide variety of DMOs. Hearing from people if they have public relation firms they work with, if they have things in house. Right now, we're working on FAM tours at Visit Ogden. We're planning a lot of FAM tours for the fall and winter. And then we're getting our public relations budget together, right? We're figuring out what type of spend we want to do. So I'll just kind of open the room up. We can start discussing and we'll then go into other things.
I can start or share some thoughts. Shannon, I'm with Visit Great Falls in Great Falls, Montana, communications director and film liaison. I moved into this role. I've been our content director, and then at the start of our fiscal year in July, we created this communications director, which is new for our organization. We had PR last year, contracted alongside our economic development organization, and then decided this year to bring it in-house into my role. My background is in television broadcasting, so I was a journalist for 14 years before moving into this role. But the whole concept of fam tours is so foreign to me coming from like small market TV. I'm like, that just wasn't a thing that happened. So it feels a little weird to me because I'm like, I should know or feel like I got that so much more. But I think I'm having a harder time trying to figure out, okay, what does a fam tour look like? And that's having not done them before. Which type of journalists am I reaching out to pitch these things? Like how, yeah, just kind of all things fam tour are just a whole new concept to me, even coming from the world of journalism, or maybe especially coming from the world of journalism. It's kind of a weird thing to me to figure out because you don't pay for stories, right? So this whole structure of like, okay, we're paying you to come out, go through this. So just all of it's a little bit foreign to me, and I want to do them and do them well, but even just trying to figure out what that looks like and who to pitch for it is a little just overwhelming to me in all honesty. So I look forward to any thoughts on just how you get started, how you pick, and I want to make them unique, right? Like make them unique to our community. So anyway, I don't know if that's really helpful at all. That's just kind of where I'm at with stuff. So
How many do you do a year, or historically, how many have you all
mm.
done?
There's not really a historical record because the strategies shifted quite a bit. I know alongside our economic development organization, they did one last fall. Um, so I'm looking forward to having one that's more directly focused on our efforts this year. So it's kind of been hit or miss. There hasn't been a specific strategy, and I mean we're a small budget organization too. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Taylor, this is Wendy. I have my hand up. Sorry, I had a long day yesterday, so I'm not on camera. But just to go to Shannon. Shannon, where are you located?
I'm in Great Falls, Montana.
Okay. I'm in Orange County, California,
Mhm.
and I have a public relations background, so I've been doing FAMs and individual tours. For us, what I've experienced over the years is FAM tours are good if you're focused on one specific thing. For example, when I worked for Visit Milwaukee, I hosted a FAM tour with those interested in festivals and music for Summerfest.
Okay.
And the FAM tour was focused on Summerfest. We just hosted with Visit California, I should say co-hosted, a meetings trade FAM for meeting media from Smart Meetings and those type of publications. So the focus was on historic venues and offsite locations for meetings and groups. I find that if you're looking to pitch one writer, they prefer to come in for an individual tailored tour based off of what you want to highlight, but also what their interests are. It's not effective to host a FAM for where everyone's pigeoned into the same thing when they all have different focuses and areas of interest. So first you have to decide what you want to highlight on your tour, and then look at what media work for that and see if there's an interest to do a FAM or if preferred an individual tour.
Thank you, Wendy.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
because
And I
you
think
don't
that
want to bring somebody who's highlighting festivals along with somebody who's family focused, along with somebody where you're taking them all to the same place and doing all of the same things.
right. No, that does make sense. And even the option of, budgetarily figuring that out, but one journalist versus a group, because I think the expectation is a small group of journalists to, maybe that makes more sense budgetarily, but I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and that does help as I start.
Well, and I don't know Montana's tourism industry or where you're located in relation to other Montana destinations, but we often Visit California has what's called a gold pass. And if there are three destinations interested in hosting one particular writer, and they're vetted through our state tourism office, Visit California will then pay for their transportation, their airfare, their ground transportation. And even without Visit California, we're centrally located in Orange County. So we look to another destination like Buena Park or Costa Mesa. Sometimes we'll co-host a travel writer. So we're splitting the cost of that person coming in and enjoying similar but different things in both destinations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Wendy.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
What are other people focusing on or hoping to? Just generally, we're gonna like bullseye this as we go throughout the conversation, but just staying broad level, what are other people focusing on this year?
I can go. This is Mirka from Visit Ptolemy County. Just to kind of piggy off a little bit of what Shannon said, we have PR currently. It is going to be in-house starting in January, and I will be in charge of that. So FAM trips are also new to me. I've helped with a few since May. From May through October, we're going to have 14 total. So there's plenty. I will manage those also starting in January. So I think best practices just all around, it would be great to know what other locations are doing. With Visit Ptolemy, we are a gateway. We do work with Mono and Madera, but we're all competing for being named the gateway to Yosemite. So it is a kind of fine line when it comes to talking to journalists. We want them to see Yosemite, but we also want them to see Gold Country and the High Sierra. So just some best practices. Wendy, you gave some great info of, make sure that you're building the story around what you want featured. And we have 3 different things. So it's just kind of figuring out who those journalists are. So I think just all around with PR, best practices, what everybody does. What's in the welcome goodie that you give your influencers? I think ours could be upgraded a little bit. So just general best practices, I think would be super useful for me.
Awesome. Very similar, right? I'm seeing themes. In-house communications, wanting to do FAMs and improve them and make them even better. Anybody the opposite, right? Does anybody have in-house representation for public relations they want to talk about? What are y'all focusing on with them? We may not. Cool. What are other people focusing on? What's other people thinking about or looking at?
This is Alicia. I can chime in from Visit Mesa. We are a bigger market city, but we have a very lean budget, and it's just the circumstance of us being in hotel development, and there's projects in the pipeline. We're funded by a bed tax, but we're currently trying to move forward with implementing a TIA, a tourism improvement area, or a TID. So we're hopeful that we're probably 12 to 18 months out to having budgets restored, where in the past we were running 40, 50 FAMs a year. Right now, we're being very lean with maybe 5 to 10. And that has been with a very creative collaboration with Allegiant Airlines to work with them on supporting writers and content creators out of key feeder markets that would fly into Mesa. So we're trying to be creative when budget isn't there. At the same time, we've recently brought on Muckrack as our new PR media monitoring platform. So onboarding and just kind of focusing internally as we bring this back in. We used to have PR agency out of house, and now again, just kind of all just the reaction of budget as we're managing it in house and trying to develop strong media relations within our local market. But we anticipate and hope to be in a situation where FAMs come back. We do a lot of media assisting, as others have mentioned, with our state tourism office and with the Greater Phoenix, Visit Phoenix. So when there are potentially shared writers, we can collaborate and split that cost just to make it more effective as well. But yeah, overall, best practice, the FAMs, media reporting KPIs, that's something I'd love to get understanding of what you guys are setting as benchmarks and demonstrating success within your organizations, what you're reporting on. So we just find some of it is so subjective. And if we can get an article that goes viral on Yahoo, my numbers are skewed for the rest of the year, and it's not really a true representation of our impact, nor do I want that to be. And I don't want it to be a number of press releases that we're pitching either. So just excited to be here. Obviously want to geek out and nerd on the PR world, but happy to learn from you all.
Anyone else want to share in this first leg before we go into specific themes?
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm with Visit Fresno County. The only other thing I could think of is I'd be interested to hear what you guys are doing on the PR side in terms of advocacy. We are a destination that does struggle locally with advocating for ourselves. We're in the process of getting a new CEO. So I just want to be able to provide any materials for them as they're establishing themselves in the community and continuing that advocacy piece. So be interested to hear what other destinations are doing and how they go about that.
I love that. Public relations is like so vital and so important. And when it hits well, it has legs that go beyond, but it is one of the hardest things to track, especially in the modern era. And it's a really hard thing to advocate for. It's one of those things, yeah, again, when it hits hard and everybody notices, from our commissioners to our governors. And when it's not there, it's just under the radar, right? So next slide, please. Cool. So we're gonna talk about, and honestly, the themes that we're gonna talk about in the next slides have been touched on, but we're gonna narrow it down and we're gonna find ways that we want to work on these together. So let's chat earned media tracking. How do people track their media? We had a Muck Rack mention. I use Muck Rack too with Visit Utah. I've used numerous media monitoring tools, including Meltwater, which we bailed from. And I have a lot of Google Alerts set up. And I do my own internal spreadsheet tracking with Muck Rack and Google Alerts. But where's everybody else at? How are you all currently tracking your media? And I'm assuming it's broken, but maybe somebody's got it figured out. Who else has a media monitoring tool like Muck Rack? Does anybody use media monitoring or have media monitoring? Adam, what do you use?
I use Muck Rack. I also use Google Alerts as well. I'm just trying to find better ways of reporting because the numbers, while some may be large, they're just not realistic of what I want them to say. Like, did this person come here because they read this article, and like trying to figure out how we track those kinds of things. But yeah, I only use those two things.
Attribution, my friend. One of my favorite marketing quotes is, as a marketer, half my budget is being wasted. I just don't know which half it is. Right? Because it's that there's that soft part of this where we may not ever be able to track what's in people's heads and what makes them decide, but we can get close, right? I love Muck Rack. I think it's great as well. Has anybody who does Google Alerts in their inbox for their area? Like who has Google Alerts and have set up, and why do you do that? And what do you find? I know every property that's for sale in Ogden as a result, right? Does anybody, yeah, Alicia?
We we almost do it as just another safety net, just to make sure nothing's slipping through Muck Rack that we didn't catch, and just again almost as a double catch, just to make sure our keywords or topics that we would expect to show up for our brand are, maybe lingering out there and Muck Rack didn't see it. So honestly, just kind of a second piece of coverage.
Agreed. Google Alerts is by far the most thorough of all of the types of media monitoring alerts that you can get, especially if, is there anyone that track print? We track print through Google Alerts. We've done stuff in the past like TV Eyes, which will watch TV for you and find your keywords. These are all AI tools. Typically, I have found for print is that most of those articles are posted online, albeit behind a paywall, but I can usually my Google Alerts takes the print. Does anybody else use? Yeah, Shannon, go for it.
Yeah, so we just, in the process of bringing this in-house, we just got Muck Rack and I'm in the process of onboarding. And I'm finding there's a number of things that, and it's quite possible that I just don't know because I'm early on with learning Muck Rack, but that aren't showing up on Muck Rack that I know are happening. So whether that's a paid subscription for, featured in a TV show or a magazine, things like that, I'm finding I'm sending a lot of like to my account person, like, hey, I know this exists, but I can't find it through Muck Rack. Can you help or answer questions? So I'm still in the process of learning all of those things. And also because I want to track for my community, right? I'm not necessarily looking for when Visit Great Falls was mentioned. I'm looking for when our museums were, like, just trying to set up those trackings are a little more complex. And so I'm trying to learn all of that. On the other side of this, my husband and I also have a small public relations firm with a very small budget because we're a brand new company, but we use Critical Mention through that for our budget and for what we have right now. That seems to be, allows us to provide value to our clients without a huge budget for us on that end. So
100%. That's cool. I have never heard of that company before that you mentioned, so I'm gonna have to look them up. I think Muckrack is a really good place if you have a really big win. Critical mention, thank you. If you have a really big win and you're looking to find how many people go to this news website? Muckrack is also really, really good for identifying journalists. That's the place to go and look for journalists. I think media monitoring, of course, if something is crawling the web looking for mentions, Google will forever be the most powerful tool because it's the largest and it's been doing it for, oh my goodness, however long Google's been doing it for. So that's how I personally use Muckrack. Reporting on Muckrack is great, but again, it tends to just generalize everything and make it not specific enough for me. And so I kind of use it to monitor those very specific things, those wins that we have. Okay, so start thinking of in your head, like, because we have 1, 2, 3 of these specific highlights. Think in your head which ones are the most important for you as a DMO that we should focus on this year. So, next slide. Okay, journalist vetting. What do you all do to vet and pitch journalists? Or not do, right? That's also an answer. So I'll start. We typically don't have a public relations firm at Visit Ogden on record, right? We are exactly where a lot of you all are as DMOs. We're too big, for internal perfectness and too small to really get a PR firm and have it work for our budget and our needs. What I do is I co-op, as I've heard mentioned in the past, and I rely a lot on Visit Utah and Ski Utah and some of our ski resorts who do have public relations firms to refer people to me. I also go to several media events as part of my job at Visit Ogden. I go to New York with Ski Utah to do meetings and an event, and I have done desk sides before. So we've gone down to LA. So I think for me, like, it took me years to get a roster in my head. But what do people do when they try to vet when they don't have those years? Or is there anything that you do?
I can go.
Yeah.
I do a similar thing to what you're doing. We also have a PR firm, or we do have a PR firm that we use that's kind of an extended arm of what I do. So if I'm not sure about a writer, I'll send it to them to vet for me. I've been at Yakima Valley Tourism for about 4.5 years now. So I've attended IMM. There's another media marketplace conference here called Travel and Words. That's a West Coast based media marketplace conference. I'm attending those kinds of things. And then also just trying to talk with other DMOs around the state, maybe if they've hosted media, the similar media that I might be talking to, or also asking some of my writer friends, like, hey, what's this person about? So that's kind of how I do it.
Sydney, do you want to talk about our project we did with like going through the websites?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Sydney. Work with Taylor at Visit Ogden. And we are working on a harvest, like agriculture fam that we want to bring for fall time. And so what Taylor had me do was kind of look up our local news stations and just kind of go back through our like the past 10 days, I think it was, of all the journalists who wrote articles. And then I just like looked into their backgrounds and see what matched with this fam that we're hosting. And so that's just kind of what we've done, is just kind of put together like this whole spreadsheet. We put their email, their background, their LinkedIn if they have any, and just so we can like have this point of contact sheet to just go off of. So that's kind of what we've been doing.
Thank you, Sydney. And yeah, the reason we did that is literally because some of these tools aren't as good as just going onto the news websites and crawling it ourselves, right? And so how we would make this bigger for this committee is maybe we get a active roster sort of shared list resource here that has it been hosted? Who hosted them? What do you think about their hosting, right? Maybe we get some sort of internal communication forum where it's like, did y'all host this person? Were they great or were they a total diva scam? You know what I mean? Like there's tons of different things we could share. Because we're all in the West, I think we would be able to share notes like that, but that's just kind of my thought. Anybody else, vet journalists or any of this spark a thought? It's tough. I think we rely a lot on agency partners. Any agency person want to speak about what they do? It's all right.
I was just gonna add one more comment too. Like I know speaking to my writer friends, they're doing the same things when they get invites or pitches from destinations. They're also reaching out to writers and sharing information.
That's huge because honestly, some destinations host FAMs that are like absolute nightmare schedules and like not even fun for anybody. So I've been on some of those before. So, okay, so that's number two. So think in your head about how important that one is, right? We got the earned media tracking, we got the journalist roster, maybe we share notes. And yeah, next slide, please, if you haven't done it. Okay. So this one we've already talked about a bit, FAM hosting, right? Best practices. I'm going to go down the list, right? Who's the right fit? How do they qualify, right? Do you all do group FAMs versus individual FAMs? Let's have a bit of a discussion on that real quick. What would you make a group FAM and what would you make an individual FAM? And what have you done in the past?
From Visit Mesa, we traditionally used to only do group FAMs, but in the last 2 to 3 years, I've almost exclusively transitioned to individual FAMs, both for budget and just kind of the quality of the writer based on those specific pillars or topics that we were trying to promote. So that's where we've gone.
We do, yes, go ahead, whoever's next.
No, you're okay, Taylor. You're good.
No, you do it. Go for it.
With Visit Tuolumne, I can tell you it's 1 to 2 max. We do an influencer camp. We're trying to do that yearly, so that is the time when we actually gather quite a few. But for the most part, it is pretty individualized.
We also kind of rebranded the group FAMs this year to, we call them a creator camp. And it just feels like it's a better sell. Like, you know, these journalist FAMs, I think people think they're going to be able to go and just kind of find their story. I think for whatever reason, the word camp makes you feel like you're a bit more like, you know, there's guardrails a bit more. You're stuck at camp. You're doing what the camp tells you to do, right? What about hosting partners? Y'all say bring the entire family of 7, or do you have a policy behind it? I think we do it within reason. Go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's an influencer, we'll host their photographer or videographer. For writers, we typically will not host anyone else with them unless it pertains to like a family or couples theme. And then we don't do group fam tours anymore. They have just been a pain for me. So I work with an editor here for Sit Magazine, and she kind of built her own little fam tour, which is nice. So she selects like the people that she wants to come, and I just build the itinerary for her. So that's kind of the only thing I'll do. Everything else will just be individual.
And here in Explore Tualatin Valley in Oregon, It's on our media page for fam trips that we do not pay for guests, that they're responsible for. If they bring them, they can, but they're responsible for paying for their meals and their tasting fees and attraction fees.
Does anybody provide per diems or budgets? How do you do these journalists? Do you host them in person physically the whole time? Do you send them on their way with a list?
For us, it's different. It depends. We do have a form, and we ask them, do they want it to be a fully escorted tour? Or do they want something where they just want suggestions, or if they want something that's a mix of both? And I usually try to meet them for at least one meal while they're here. Sometimes especially if it's someone who doesn't drive, I've hosted media before from New York that don't drive. So I'm the one driving them everywhere. So it really depends on the writer, but I try to make at least one meal with everybody, and I give them a gift card. So we use Giftly, and then we give them that for them to use that for their meals and any other expenses. And then some things like rental cars, they just send us the bill and we reimburse that. And then we pay for all the hotel and all the hard costs that we are able to pay for in advance.
Have you ever had anyone turn you down because of your partner policy?
For us?
Yes.
No.
How do you
Actually,
all-
no, I take that back. Yes. Because one time a writer from the Pacific Northwest wanted us to pay for the nanny and her kids and said, sorry, we can't do that. And she ended up not coming.
Wow. And you also mentioned another point with Giftly, and I was really curious how everyone else is structuring their payment. Are we prepaying for meals? Are we, what's not comped? How are we paying for these? Because we've been toying with the idea of getting a card for our travel writers, but I'm just curious.
I estimate, I look at the menus and I kind of estimate, well, how much it would cost for a meal, appetizer, and a drink, and include tax in there. So it's a lot of guessing. But I have that leeway to be able to guesstimate.
This is Wendy. I'm sorry, it's like, what was the name of that card?
Giftly?
Yeah, we looked into that, and it's actually like it's a lot of work for a small DMO to get that set up. And we were using just a Visa gift card, which ended up being a lot of fraudulent activity. Like we'd buy one from the store and it wouldn't work. So now we set a limit and they turn in receipts and we reimburse them after the trip. So we give them specifics of where they're going to eat and we tell them a limit and then they turn in the receipts. I was just putting in the messenger. We also set up a Lyft business account. It was free. I can share our contact with anyone who wants it. But we give a Lyft pass to our travel writers who are visiting, and you can set the Lyft pass up for a specific time frame. You can set it up for a mileage radius within like your hotel, and you can set up the number of trips that they can take within their time that they're visiting, and then you get billed for that. And you can also set it, you don't want them getting an Escalade or an extra large, but we found that to be super convenient because then they just have the Lyft and they don't need an app, they use a QR code.
I love all of that. That's really cool. Lyft business account for the win. That's just such a good idea. You can just schedule it, right?
Yeah, you
think
set it up beforehand, so you can call it whatever. Like we just had a fam tour in with our PR. Sorry, my dogs are barking because there's a worker here. We set it up for a fam tour and you name it that. They give a special QR code just for that person or that group. And then they use it just during that time frame and you control everything on the back end. So nothing's prepaid. You set it up on how much they can and it just comes out of your account.
what do you think about like people having secured coverage for a fam? What do you require or enjoy when it comes to, like, are you the type of DMO that's like, you gotta have a, commissioned piece to come out here? Or is it literally like, no worries, bro, if you produce it in 4 years, we don't care?
I think I'm seeing a little bit of that here. Like it's just kind of like, oh, we'll see what they put out. But for me personally, I want to know when you're going to put it out and what you're going to put out. So I think maybe kind of changing that a little bit now that I will be taking the PR on. For me, it is important for me to know what you're going to put out and when, because a lot of resources go into it. For us, we don't have Uber or Lyft here. So if they don't rent a car or they don't want to rent a car or they can't drive, we have a few people that don't drive, then it's up to us to drive them around. And it is a fully committed thing. We also are very clear about we will cover one meal, one drink for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you want to make the lunch drink or the dinner drink a cocktail, you can. Just keep your receipt. We'll reimburse you. We do accept couples, but we tell them very upfront, we will have people that give the receipt back and there's 2 meals and we just have to remind them sometimes like, hey, we're only paying for yours. And it usually goes well because we told them from the start. But for us, that's kind of where I'm at. I definitely do want to know what you're going to put out.
Did you know that the New York Times won't accept any article at all if you have been paid in any possible way for being out there? Like no fams, no matter what. Nothing.
That makes sense.
So for us,
Go for it. No, go for it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I really think it depends on what your destination is. So for us, when we started, we do everything in-house on the PR side. And for us, when we started, that was kind of the feedback we had gotten when trying to build this program is, they need to create something. We sent out invitations saying you need to create something, at least one piece, and we didn't get anybody biting. So I think it depends on your destination. We recognize we're not like what you're coming to California for. So we kind of have started to shape it as this experience of we just want to show you our destination. Like we're taking the time to invest in you to show you the destination. If the piece doesn't come out this year, that's okay. And we've noticed that approach, we've gotten content from every fam after, just because of how we're approaching it. We just want to show you what our destination's about. So I don't know if that helps.
Absolutely it does. We're in a similar place. It depends on the journalist. Oftentimes you're hosting a journalist from San Diego Magazine, and the likelihood that somebody who is a staff writer or contributing person, editor, right, they're probably going to write for that piece because they have control over it. If we're hosting a really high level freelancer with travel and leisure, I mean, there's no guarantee that they're going to get that, right? Because they're going to have to pitch it out. And so, I don't think I'd like to get scammed, but then also at the same time, like bringing a VIP in to say, let's just feel out what you think, is really huge for us. But again, those trips are usually co-opt with multiple DMO partners in the state of Utah, right? Like they're doing something where they're down in Moab and then they're coming up to ski, and it's like a desert. It's like a Red Rocks and snowy kind of fam. And so it really depends for us. Do any of you follow up? How many follow-ups do you send? What's your relationship like with journalists at the end? We typically send like 2 follow-up emails. I try to send one with photo galleries, right? Like answer their questions before they have them. Yeah, Haley.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to take over the conversation.
No, do it.
We do an email we usually have our photographer go out there. So we'll send them photos and just say, these are free for you to use. And then we also send a handwritten thank you card and like a little, like something from Fresno again, like raisins. We're known for raisins here. So we'll send them that, just like a little, like, thank you so much for coming. We hope you enjoyed it type thing.
I think FAMs, there's a lot to talk about for sure. Okay, let's just do the last one. And we're going to kind of just talk through our discussion. Oh, we see your desktop. There you are. Okay, So, like, what do you guys think? Like, what do you all think is the most important of all of these? Like, what do you feel like our committee and you personally, like, if you would rank it 1, 2, and 3, maybe you put it in the chat or just talk out loud. I bet I could guess, honestly, based on our conversation. Trying to narrow things down for us. And I kind of like discussing and then, kind of slowly going into exactly what we need. Give people time since they're all probably. Oh, it was FAM hosting, earned media tracking, and a journalist roster.
Hi, I'm Marie with Visit Cheyenne.
Hello.
Hello. I don't have like a ton to contribute because I'm fairly new in my role, and we also use KHM for a lot of our PR stuff. So I'm kind of like listening in and gathering what y'all do. But it's so funny because I literally just got off a call with them, and we had someone come out here who is very LGBTQ plus. That's kind of their angle, and they didn't have the best time in Wyoming. So kind of being able to navigate and vet for diversity, like how do you guys maybe step outside of your who you typically would bring in, but also like showcase like the best of what your destination has to offer. Also, I wanted to mention, I don't know if anyone does this, but I talked to someone last week who does like they set up an AI agent for social listening across social media and like Google and all that sort of stuff. And it sends them a report every week of every time their destination is mentioned across like influencers, like different programs, different articles and stuff. And I wondered if anyone tracks that way through AI.
I do one-off questions, but I haven't asked, for like a regular report, but I do it like for research, like research questions and social listening for sure. I thought for a moment, I wonder if there's an AI solution to media monitoring. I know that that's actually a pretty big thing to bite off as a committee, but maybe we discuss that further. Because it seems like none of our tools are doing it, and we need to layer data. The issue is like we have enough data, but we have to layer it in order to get some sort of idea. And that is kind of a good AI thing. So, all right, equally interested, media tracking. I heard a lot of FAM hosting best practices. I can see some deliverables coming in to shape, and I can see some speakers that I want to bring in coming into shape, right? I want to bring in people who are experts in these various things. And then I wonder, like, is there a 1 or 2 subcommittee kind of vibe? Like, are there projects that we should do? I think we should make a FAM hosting toolkit. I think that could be pretty easy as a group, and it could help all of us. And they're just checklists. It's like make a media bag. Here's what's in a media bag. And here's all the things to consider, right? Is the person traveling internationally? Don't give them exotic fruit. Do not give them snake eggs, right? I think that could be really helpful. If you're vetting a FAM, like when do you require a journalist to have commissioned pieces? When do you not? When do you hope it's to group FAM? And so I think that's a great toolkit, Molly, that could live on the website that we could develop.
Absolutely. I'm taking good notes. Yes, for sure.
And so I think we should do a FAM hosting subcommittee. I think that one's the one that needs its own breakout. Do you think there's a need for another subcommittee based on these kind of topics or other topics in PR? Anyone want to chair the subcommittee? Oh, Adam, go for
Do
it.
you know if, like, in the US, if there's any other media marketplace conferences that people go to besides like IMM and IPW, and like if they see value in those other conferences?
There's that travel writer conference. I forget what it's called.
Wendy said there's a
Oh, there it
Society of
is.
American Travel.
Those are the only ones I can think of.
Okay.
Destination International does like a media lunch and they invite like 3 people.
I'm
So
actually going because we're a wine destination. The International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association also has a conference, and so I'm going to that in October. And then the SATW that I think Wendy mentioned, they have a conference every year, and they also do a virtual conference, but you have to be a member to attend those. And then Travel and Words, Adam mentioned Travel and Words as well, which is put on by Northwest Travel and Life publications.
I like PRSA. It's really good. They have a travel and tourism section. It's literally all of the people in this room kind of vibe.
Yes, I met Adam this year
Yeah.
at PRSA.
I'm gonna go next year. We can totally discuss that, Adam, and sharing notes on that is huge.
If you're in California, I know Visit California does a lot of tableside media 2-day events. The next one is in Seattle, Vancouver in October. So if you're in California, I would check those out with Visit California.
Does anyone here do media missions at all? We've done one to Portland and it was pretty successful, but it's a large lift. But I'm just wondering if you do any of those in your different markets that you're in.
We do media missions, but it's really important to co-op, right? I don't think I would ever do a media mission on my own. I would bring Ski Utah or the state. And so we've done desk sides in California. They were okay. We do a New York City media event every year where we invite like 35 people who are ski media to talk about skiing. And it does pretty well, especially as I've built relationships. I think, Adam, it's like year 2 is better than year 1, and year 3 results in a bunch of FAMs. That's just kind of the nature of this. Did you know that for every 7 PR professionals, there is 1 journalist? And so that's what for all of us, this meeting would be 2 journalists. Like those are who we're fighting for. So I think it's the relationship part is super important. You got to wine and dine them 3 times, not just once in the modern era. If anybody is like super into talking about FAM hosting and starting a miniature committee where you just kind of email some people and work on some things, let me know. If not, we'll keep it in-house and we'll just kind of do a subcommittee in the committee. And, every 2 months, we'll start to work on our FAM toolkit. Nice. Thanks, Wendy. I get that.
Thanks, Wendy. That's wonderful, though. Any interest? Yeah.
If any of you feel like you want to, it's not a heavy lift, right? We're going to do most things in class, I guess, is the way to talk about it. So
perfect. Well, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you guys all for your input and conversation. And Taylor, again, thanks for chairing the committee. We appreciate you so much. And Taylor and I will work on an agenda for next time. We have a lot of good takeaways. And our next meeting is, I didn't quite check that out, but I believe it's, next month. So end of next month. And we look forward to having everyone here. In the meantime, if anything comes up, feel free to email Taylor or I, and we can add agenda items. And, even though we meet once a month, doesn't mean we can't jump on a call in between if things come up for anyone. So anyway, appreciate everyone. Thank you for all your time, and everyone have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.